Hi, welcome to the new improved 10-minute rather than 25-minute ranting and ravings. So I've got to be brief and I won't try not to repeat myself. And if I'm less than 10 minutes, so much the better. Because I just want to make a few points here. I picked up a copy of the Evening Standard at the beginning of the month and the headline was Boom Britain, Manufacturing Up, Car Sales Best for 6 years, House Prices Rise for 6 months in a row. There's only one way to describe the data. Wow. It's like, wow? Wow at what? Manufacturing up. Manufacturing of what? They didn't exactly say what it was. Well, maybe like guns and so on that we can sell to foreign dictators so they can massacre their own people, tanks and electrodes so that the Bahraini police can torture their own people and stuff. Oh yeah, well maybe that's gone up. So maybe that's, but as we're at such a pretty low base anyway, another couple of pinheads had probably put up the manufacturing by 1%. Car sales are up. Well, apparently car sales are up 2.2 million, but are they manufactured here? And the reason that car sales have gone up is because, on average, a new car, the average price of a new car has gone down by £2,000. So therefore, it's about the only thing that's gone down in the retail price index or its equivalent. House prices have risen for 6 months. Well, that's not very good news, is it? Because that just means that no one can afford to buy a house. Not that the people I'm addressing myself to can afford to buy a house, or the majority of people can afford to buy a house. I saw a flat yet to be completed was reduced in some crap hole not very far from where I lived. It used to be a squat called Rampart Street, and they reduced the price from 750,000 to 660,000. Oh, that's great, you know, I'm going to definitely rush out and put my money on a deposit. Ridiculous. But there is a housing boom, and there is a building boom, but it's only a housing boom for the rich and the powerful and things in the city that they're building. You can see on the skyline, vanity projects, the cheese grater, the Shard. That's no good for us. We're not going to end up living in any of these places or working in any of these places. True, it does employ people, but like probably the pyramids employed a lot of people as well. It didn't do any good for anybody else. It is vanity projects. And in the East End, we've got yuppie drones springing up everywhere. And I mean, like, they'd cost $1 million or $2 million and so on. They're going to be absolutely full up with overseas yuppies and so on, with jobs in the city and with apartments in Hong Kong, Beijing, New York, etc. So, you know, if that's the boom, forget it. But that is the boom, because that can be the only thing that's showing any form of what you might call economic movement. But what's the reality behind this boom for most people? The reality is, well, rents are soaring sky high. Loads of people I know can no longer afford to live in London. These are not dole scroungers. These are people with jobs that go to work 5 days a week and work 8 hours a day and do overtime. But they cannot afford even to live in a crap ex-council house rented out at extraordinary rents in London. So, you know, I don't see why this housing boom's so good for everybody. Food, utilities, gas, electricity is all going up. They're going to put a £29 surcharge on everybody's water bill in London. Fares are up by 9%. And even with the food, not only do the prices go up, but you buy a chocolate bar or anything like that, processed food, and the actual volume of it's gone down. So you're paying more for less. Brilliant. So if this is Boom Britain, you can stick it. And of course, there's no wage rises. No one's had a wage rise of any significance for ages, unless of course you happen to be one of these bonus bankers. Because in April, the amount of bonuses in the City of London that were paid out went up by 700 million. And so therefore that came to the grand total of £1.3 million paid out in bonuses in the City of London in April alone. So maybe that's Boom Britain. So what are these other things that constitute a Boom Britain? Well, they're also talking about high street sales have gone up, because all that means is more people, as people haven't got more money and less, so obviously that's more people buying stuff on credit, which in the end means that they're going to pay for it in debt, and more people are going in debt. But there is a feel-good factor, and it's been in the newspapers, and I think it was in the Evening Standard as well. I can't remember, but I remember what it was. I can't remember if it was in the Evening Standard, but I can remember what it was. The feel-good factor was that we'd had really good weather, you know, we were basking in sunshine, and our sporting successes. Andrew Murray had won Wimbledon, Chris Froome had won the Tour de France, we were winning the Ashes at cricket, and the most important thing, of course, you know, cheered up the entire nation, made them forget all their blues and everything, was the royal baby. So these articles were written by people that have got PhDs and have been, you know, they're economists. But I don't think, I don't know anything about economics. I know how to work out a bet. I can do multiplication, subtraction, division even, stuff like that. Stuff that anybody could do. Could run a whelk stall quite successfully. Except because there ain't any whelk stalls here, because Tubby Isaacs has just closed down a few weeks ago. You know, the new East End, the yuppies don't want to buy things like whelks and mussels, do they? Or jellied eels, oh, how vulgar, you know. So, you know, Tubby Isaacs has gone broke. Now, I admit I don't know nothing or next to nothing about economics, but who does? But what I'm telling you is that these people that write these articles, they're not economists. They are, in fact, propagandists, because all this stuff about Boom Britain is a dirty, stinking lie. But the problem is that we actually believe it. And that's why I would say, even now, that there's a great probability that when they have the next general election, the Conservatives will probably win it. None of us will be bothering to vote anyway, because all the parties are the same. I know I keep saying this, but it's true. And even if we did have a boom, then there's always a bust. But I don't think we're going to have a bust, because we're living in bust anyway. There will be a crash. And as we know, a crash can come from anywhere. Anywhere in the world. If the Chinese economy went into spiral, or if there was another banking building society crisis in America or something, it'd be a massive crash. The whole thing's a house of cards. It's going to come down sooner or later. There is no boom even now. The only people that there is a boom for are the rich, and we all know it. But we're all too scared to go out and do anything about it. As in our fear, we're going to vote Conservative again, or vote Labour or so. We can't break out of this spiral. The alternative, which I say, will be en masse in the streets. Egypt, Turkey, Brazil. I know Egypt's going a bit skew with at the moment, but that's a revolution. It hasn't finished, it's just beginning. Do you understand? It's just beginning. These things are just beginning. This thing around the world is just beginning. And to our shame, we haven't even started yet. So to hell with Boom Britain, to hell with Bust Britain, to hell with their 0 hours contracts, to hell with their work, to hell with their yuppies, and to hell with their bankers. Let's get rid of the whole lot. Let's get out of the streets and let's get rid of the whole lot. I say it all the time, and it's the only solution. I've been ranting for 10 minutes, talked about economics, of which I know nothing, but as I say, I think I know and you know a damn sight more than these people that get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds to write these articles on economics that are nothing more than propaganda. So, good night.